There's a moment, and most men can tell you exactly when it happened. It wasn't dramatic, no warning, no alarm. You just woke up one morning and something felt different. Maybe it was the way your back ached getting out of bed. Maybe it was that fog in your head that coffee couldn't cut through. Or maybe it was something quieter, a feeling that your body was no longer working with you, that something had quietly switched sides. You didn't feel old, but you felt less sharp, less energized, less like yourself. And here's what nobody tells you: that shift, it's not just aging, it's not inevitable, and it's not something you have to accept. Because what's actually happening inside your body after 40 is something the mainstream health conversation almost completely ignores. There are specific deficiencies, specific biological changes that begin accelerating after your 40th birthday, quietly, invisibly. And the worst part, most men spend years, sometimes decades, trying to fight the symptoms, when the real answer was hiding in plain sight all along. In this video, we're going to talk about the supplements that most men over 40 are not taking, and why that decision is costing them more than they realize. Not trendy supplements, not expensive protocols, just the ones with real science behind them, the ones that target exactly what changes in your body after 40. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand your body in a way you never have before. And if this kind of content matters to you, subscribe right now, hit the like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it. It genuinely helps more people find this information. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with something that almost no one talks about. After 40, your body doesn't just get older. It gets less efficient at absorbing the things it desperately needs. Your stomach produces less acid, and that matters more than you might think. Because stomach acid is one of the main ways your body extracts nutrients from food. Less acid means less absorption, which means even if you're eating well, and most of us aren't, your cells might be running on empty without you knowing it. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. The human body is extraordinarily good at hiding deficiencies. It compensates, it adjusts. It robs Peter to pay Paul, taking nutrients from one system to keep another running. And it does this quietly for years until the compensation fails. That's when the symptoms show up: the fatigue, the brain fog, the joint pain, the mood changes, the muscle that won't come back no matter how hard you train. Most men treat these as separate problems. They reach for caffeine, they push through. They tell themselves it's this stress, just age, just life. But what if it isn't? What if those symptoms are the same problem, one root cause wearing different masks? Here's what the research tells us. And when I say research, I mean peer-reviewed studies on the kind published in medical journals, not supplement company blogs. After 40, several specific biological processes begin to accelerate. Muscle loss increases. Testosterone naturally declines. Inflammation rises. Your cells lose the ability to regenerate as efficiently. And your brain, yes, your brain, begins to physically change in ways that affect memory, focus, and mood. These aren't opinions. These are documented, measurable changes. And the question isn't whether they're happening to you. The question is, are you doing anything about it? Let's talk about the first one. And I want you to listen carefully, because most men are deficient in this and have absolutely no idea. Vitamin D3, not the kind you get from a multivitamin, not a low-dose supplement. I'm talking about meaningful therapeutic levels of vitamin D3. Here's the thing. Vitamin D isn't really a vitamin. Your body uses it more like a hormone. It has receptor sites in almost every single tissue: your muscle cells, your brain, your immune system, your cardiovascular system. And when levels are low, all of those systems take a hit. A study published in the journal Hormone and Metabolic Research followed men with low vitamin D levels who supplemented for 1 year. The result: total testosterone levels increased significantly, not marginally, significantly. In a Mendelian randomization study, the strongest study designs we have, found a direct causal link between lower vitamin D levels, and lower total testosterone in men. But it's not just testosterone. Low vitamin D is associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, immune dysfunction, and depression. And the vast majority of men over 40, especially those living in northern latitudes or spending most of their time indoors, are deficient. You might not feel it, but it's happening. The second one is omega-3 fatty acids. Your brain is approximately 60% fat, and the most critical of those fats, DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, comes almost entirely from your diet. It doesn't synthesize efficiently in the body. You have to consume it. You have to consume it. A landmark study from the University of Texas Health Science Center looked at over 2,000 adults with an average age of 46. People with higher omega-3 levels in their red blood cells didn't just have better cognitive scores. They had physically larger brains. Larger hippocampal volume. The hippocampus is the region of your brain most responsible for memory and learning. The people with higher omega-3 concentrations literally had more of it. And as you age, your brain's ability to utilize omega-3 decreases. You need more, not less than you did at 25. Most men aren't eating cold water, fatty fish 2 or 3 times a week, which means most men are slowly starving their brains of the fat they need to function. This is not a small thing. The third supplement is magnesium. And here's where I need you to really pay attention because this one is deeply underrated. Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body. 300 energy production, muscle function, nerve transmission, blood sugar regulation, protein synthesis, magnesium is in all of it. And according to multiple published studies, including a comprehensive review in the journal Nutrients, magnesium deficiency is one of the most common nutritional deficiencies in adults worldwide, not in developing countries. In modern, industrialized, supposedly well-fed countries, you lose magnesium when you sweat, you lose it under stress, and as you age, your kidneys become less efficient at retaining it. The research is stark. Low magnesium is independently associated with hypertension, type 2 diabetes, chronic inflammation, depression, and cardiovascular mortality. A prospective study from the British Regional Heart Study followed over 3,000 older men for 15 years and found that higher magnesium levels were significantly associated with reduced risk of heart failure. Think about that. Something this fundamental, this accessible, and most men have never once thought about it. Let me be honest with you for a moment. This isn't just a list of supplements. This is a story about what happens to men who don't pay attention to these things. Because the consequences aren't abstract. They're not statistics in a study. They're the guy who retires and realizes he can't enjoy it because his body won't cooperate. The father who watches his kids play and can't get off the bench. The man who looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize the person looking back. This is what muscle loss actually looks like. After 35, the average man begins losing muscle mass at a rate of 3 to 5% per decade. After 60, that rate accelerates. The medical term is sarcopenia, and it's not just about appearance. Muscle loss is directly linked to metabolic decline, insulin resistance, increased fall risk, reduced bone density, and shorter life expectancy. And this brings us to the fourth supplement, one that most men have heard of, but almost none of them understand. Creatine monohydrate. I know what you're thinking. That's for gym guys. That's for bodybuilders. No, listen. A comprehensive review published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that creatine monohydrate supplementation, primarily when combined with resistance training, has measurable beneficial effects on muscle mass, muscle strength, bone area, cognitive function, and memory in older adults. Cognitive function. Memory, not just muscles, your brain. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements in existence. Hundreds of studies, decades of data. It is safe, it is affordable, and it may be the single most impactful supplement a man over 40 can take. The muscle it helps you preserve is in vanity. It's your metabolic engine, it's the system that regulates your blood sugar, protects your joints, keeps your hormones balanced, and literally extends your functional years of life. And most men over 40 are not taking it. The fifth supplement is one that works at the cellular level in a way that most people never think about. Turmeric, specifically its active compound curcumin. Chronic inflammation is not an abstract concept. It is a measurable biological state that accelerates aging at the cellular level. It drives cardiovascular disease. It contributes to neurodegeneration. It is the invisible fire that burns through your joints, your arteries, and your brain slowly, silently over years. Curcumin is one of the most studied natural anti-inflammatory compounds in existence. The research shows it works through multiple pathways, suppressing inflammatory signaling molecules, reducing oxidative stress, and even showing potential anti-tumor properties in early research. The catch, turmeric on its own is poorly absorbed. It needs to be taken with a black pepper extract called piperine, which increases absorption by up to 2,000%. If your turmeric supplement doesn't contain piperine, you're essentially getting very little benefit. And the sixth supplement is something your body makes less of as you age, something that supports your immune system, your skin, your collagen production, and your antioxidant defenses. Vitamin C, not just any form of it, ideally a time-release formulation, because vitamin C is water-soluble. It leaves your system quickly. Your body can't store it. The time-release form keeps levels elevated throughout the day, which is where the benefit actually comes from. Is a fact that stops most people cold. Humans are one of the only mammals on Earth that cannot synthesize their own vitamin C. Almost every other animal makes it internally, on demand. We have a genetic mutation that eliminated that ability. And unlike most animals, we don't compensate nearly enough through diet. Well, they don't compensate nearly enough through diet. Nearly enough through diet. So let's bring this together. 6 supplements, 6 biological realities of what happens to a man's body after 40. Vitamin D3, minus because your body is almost certainly deficient. And deficiency is quietly undermining your testosterone, your immunity, and your brain. Omega-3, because your brain is made of fat, it needs to be fed, and most men are slowly depriving it. Magnesium, because 300 processes in your body depend on it. You lose it every day, and the consequences of deficiency accumulate for years before you notice them. Creatine, because after 35, your muscles are fighting a battle they will lose without support. And the supplement has the research to back it up like almost nothing else in this space. Enzymatic with piperine, because chronic inflammation is the silent mechanism behind almost every major disease of aging, and you have a tool against it. Vitamin C, time release, because you can't make your own, you can't store it, and its role in immune function. Collagen and antioxidant defense is not optional. It's foundational. No. And this is important. None of these are magic. They don't replace sleep. They don't replace movement. They don't replace real food. But here's the thing about men over 40, the baseline shifts. What your body needed at 25 is not what it needs now. And the gap between what your body requires and what it's actually getting, that gap has a cost. You feel it in your energy, your focus, your mood, your body composition, your recovery, your motivation. And most men never connect those feelings to something they could actually do something about. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Not which of these should I take, but how long have I already been running on empty? Because the body keeps score. It's patient. It compensates and adapts and quietly absorbs the deficit for years. And then one day it stops compensating. Don't wait for that day. Waiting for me to see the science is real. And the decision, like every meaningful decision in a man's life, is yours to make. If this video changed the way you think about your health, leave a comment below. Tell me which supplements surprised you most. Tell me what you're already taking and what you're going to add. And if you know someone over 40 who needs to hear this, send it to them. Not as a hint, as a gift. Take care of yourself. The people who need you will thank you for it.